Welcome back for the last time today. That was band number 13, Derwent Brass, and the smile is still there. It's like a McLean smile I've got on my teeth there. Musical director Keith Leonard, and they finished off with an American Tale, which led into Just a Closer Walk. For the last time today, thankfully, because they're going to kill them before too long, I'm joined by Kenny Crookston, editor of British Bands Band, Chris Thomas from Brass Band World Magazine, and Annie Crookston, who has been adjudicated in the second section. So we're going to come to Annie as well and ask a little bit about there. And the one quiz question is, what has Annie got that the three of us boys have not? Answer's not on a postcard, but we will tell you now. And any sharp aleck who says, yeah, she's the only one who's got a music degree, that is correct. And he's the only one out of the three of us who actually won a national championships with
CWS Glasgow.
CWS Glasgow in 1990. She was 12 years of age then.
But they don't like to talk about it too much.
Yes, the husband doesn't like to talk about it, but never let it go. Never let it go. So there we go. So I'll come to you, Annie, first of all, for the second section. The result of the second section was the winners were Stannington Brass, so really on a fine run of form at the present time. They won the second section national championships in Cheltenham just a couple of weeks ago under Derek Renshaw. So they're really in fine form, and they've won. They had 96 points. Second place was the Fosdyke Band. They had 93 points. And third place, I've got to say this carefully, Ibstock Brick Brass Band, and they had 92 points. And the soloist prize went to Richard Dowling, who is the solo corner player with Stannington. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to Stannington. So, Annie, just the three bands you had in the second section.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the standard, the variations, and the variety of playing that was on show. A clear winner by the sounds of it, though.
Yeah, it was a clear winner. Standard was really high through three bands, but Stannington really pulled out the stops today, beginning to end. The quality of the soloists, the quality of the programme, and just overall band sound, they were just fabulous, just oozed confidence and assuredness. It was great. The other two bands, Fosdyke and Ibstock, gave me a wee bit of a problem because they had their own issues with certain pieces in the programme as well, but it came really down to kind of a more committed performance really from Fosdyke. Just a young conductor, took a few risks with tempos, bright tempos, but actually they pulled it off as well, and I really couldn't fault that as well. So fantastic.
Well, just to tell you as well, what the winning programme was, they started off with Salsa Tres Prado, Philip Harper. We used that a couple of times in bands in the higher section, so they started that. Then the corner solo Richard Dowling played the Adagio from the second movement, Rachmaninoff, arranged by Ray Farr. And we had a little bit of George Michael, a little bit of Faith, arranged by Philip Harper. The flugel soloist was Edward Knowles, and they finished off with the well-known blockbuster Jurassic Park. So we had a bit of dinosaurs to start, and we had Philip Harper to dinosaurs. He's the size of a brontosaurus. So there we are. So you never know. So that way. So great programme. And I was going to say to Kenny, we heard Stannington at the national final. Derek Renshaw has won 3 lower section, as we call them, national titles. He's a fine conductor, and that didn't mean to be deprecated, but that level, when you've got a conductor who knows what he's doing with the band, great foundation he puts in place, players play for him, no wonder the success comes.
It's a priceless asset, isn't it? And very often we've found over the years a number of conductors like Derek who have performed brilliantly at that level. You know, they've never really seen them taking too many bands in the top sections. In Yorkshire, we've been there every year. He's flirted a bit with Unite a few times, but in the lower sections he's done absolutely fantastically. And as you say, Stannington and a few weeks ago in Cheltenham, they really won that contest in great style. So, you know, they're obviously building towards better things as they move up the sections as well.
But just to recap for people so they know that the Carlton Brass Training won the unregistered section. The 4th section title was won by Swinton and District. 3rd section by Croft and Silver, another band that won a national title at Cheltenham a couple of weeks ago. Stannington, as we said, won the 2nd. Ellen won the 1st section title. And the only title we're waiting now to hear is who's won the championship. So 4 bands, good solid bands have been playing well. Chris, again, we're talking a number of bands struggling to get players and all this sort of stuff. We hear so much about registration difficulties and all sorts of things. But all of these bands seems to be very settled bands led by really good conductors. There's no secret to that part of it, the success, is there?
No, there isn't. I mean, it's true. I mean, we know that bands struggle for players and it can be difficult. But, you know, we've heard some really committed performances today, enthusiastic performances, and it's been great to listen to. I mean, we've enjoyed it. We've had variety. Yeah, we've had our thoughts about repertoire and programmes, and we've not agreed with all the choices, but that's the nature of entertainment contests. That's the way it
I
is.
should say that
But I-
Crofton in the third section were also won in the national championships in Cheltenham.
They
So
did.
there's two
They did.
Yorkshire bands
Yeah,
that
two
both had a
Yorkshire,
great
we did.
couple
Yeah,
of
they did.
weeks.
There were two.
I
Yeah,
don't think
they
you were
did.
listening, Nick.
He did say.
It's been a long day, isn't it?
I know you don't listen to me very often, but there we are.
Sorry.
I did actually say that.
Did you?
There we are. Yeah, see?
There you go.
Won the 1954 national
It's
championship.
still one in films,
Won the
yeah.
Falcons, still won. Off a number one
Put it
draw.
off for my breakfast this
Off a
morning. I
number
can't
one draw.
remember that.
But there we go. There. But going back as well back into the championship section with the last band that were on, Derwent Brass. The only band with a presentation that had the lights down, didn't they? Made it much more atmospheric. It was a really nice presentation set that they put together there. Talking about the quality of soloists, we had a fine soloist.
Lovely flugel player.
Yeah,
there.
very
Yeah,
nice flugel.
Steve Jones, who was the trombone player, and we've had some Bethan Plant, and a lot of them really good. But the flugel player there, which is Richard Bates, he was really
Yeah,
classy.
lovely easy
Yeah.
style as well. And it was terrific. Yeah.
Followed it on with the piece Madeline by Lucy Pankhurst. Now, Chris, as we've talked, you know about Lucy's music. Again, something that was a band that really went out on a limb
Yeah,
to look at
yeah.
something there. So that was an interesting one.
Again, I mean, I'd not heard that piece before, Lucy's. I've heard most of her other music apart from that one, oddly enough. But that piece, it was something a little bit different in the programme, wasn't it? It just gave the programme a different angle. You could argue it was out on a limb because it was very different to everything else. But again, it gave the programme variety. And that, for me, was a nicely balanced programme. It was framed by Just a Closer Walk, where they did the reprise at the end of that as they went off stage. We had Las Semanas de Bop, which we've heard a few times today, the Philip Harper arrangement, the flugel solo, as you say, Don't Doubt Him Now, then the Lucy Pankhurst piece, and an American Tale after that. So it was a really mixed, no particular theme running through it, I don't think.
But just they were well selected.
But just a well-chosen programme with good contrasts.
And I'm going to ask you as well, the two sections that you did, highlights for you today, anything that really stood out, except for the long-haired electric guitar player. I'm afraid to say I wish we didn't miss, but that must have been fantastic. Your overall impressions of what you've been hearing?
Really high standard in both the sections, the lower section as well, really high standard in both of them. Soloists in Stannington, I think, the moment of the day, I think, for me, was the Adagio that the winning soloist played as well, the Rachmaninoff. It was just beautiful. But actually, more than that was the support he got from the solo word player. That's such a tricky wee counter melody in there. It was just beautiful. And they had their flugel soloist in the opening piece, and in Faith, flugel soloist was outstanding, really outstanding.
Must have been a George Michael fan, was he?
Well, the conductor did crack a joke that it looked like George Michael as well, which he didn't really appreciate very much.
He had ginger hair or something.
It's a big beard. But I think those were the outstanding moments for me. And then the enthusiasm, that performance just had great enthusiasm. Two Little Kids as well this morning. That was just brilliant. The Two Little Kids that compared their performance band number. I can't remember now. It's been a long time now, but great. That just connects you with a band. That connects the audience with a band as well. Good thing that. Some bands thought about their presentation a bit more than others, and I think the ones that were successful, they were the ones that did that really for the entertainment.
Chris, for you throughout the day, it's been a long day since 8:30 in the morning, so
very long day.
our memories at our age tends to go back.
Speak for yourself.
It is. Going back over the day, as you said, variety has been the key. A couple of pieces have come up now and again. We've had a couple of the Phil Harper ones. Las Semanas de Bop, Prismatic Light has come up a few times. Trig Predo, that's been those ones have come up. But apart from that, there hasn't really been a lot of copying.
I think to listen.
Interesting that the bands have taken different approaches.
Yeah, I think when you listen to the number of bands that we've listened to and the number of programs that we've heard, you're going to get some duplication. I mean, you're not going to get through this many bands without it. But I think the duplication has been minimal. And hasn't really spoilt the day in any way. I think it's it's not been something that we've really thought about, we've been aware of it, but it's not spoiled the day in any way. So no, I think the choice of music from that point of view has been varied. And again, we've not agreed with all the choices, but you know, we're not going to. But I think full credit to the bands, because most of them have tried to get something out of their programmes in some shape or form.
One of the things I'm going to say again, I wouldn't say it for me is a good thing that not too many bands went for the slapstick humour type of approach. There was a couple of bands that did it. Some of them did it well. Some of them didn't.
Some of the bands in the earlier section we saw in the morning here.
But thankfully, we've gone away from that now and back into something where the wit is actually in the music rather than in the presentation. And it's all the better for it.
Yeah, I think it may well be as a consequence of last year, because I think there were quite a few last year that did go for that. And maybe once they've got a chance to go back and watch it on YouTube or whatever, it's not had that same appeal to them once they've seen it in action. But I think, yeah, back to the kind of highlights of the day, I think for me, the highlight of the day has just been the kind of festival atmosphere that's been around the place. Quite often with band contests these days, you get bands will turn up in the morning, they'll play, they'll disappear. You might disappear to some bar in the village or the town where it is, but I think in the main people that have hung around here, I was out there earlier on for a walk with Steve Mead over at the bar area, and
it does help when you've got a bar area, which is beaming it live there.
Yeah, but
it was
a lovely day out there, and there was hundreds of people standing around chatting to each other and having a drink and everything. Just a really great, friendly atmosphere. It was great. So.
For me, I have to admit as well, what's been good has been the work that's been put in by the organisers to make it. Yeah. It's actually run amazingly well to time. It's come just up to 9 o'clock, and they say the results are going to be around about 9 o'clock. We've had Micro Video who've been doing the production. They've been working their socks off. First Arts, we've had Rachel Carter, who's our social media guru. She's been working since 7 o'clock this morning, making sure all the stats come in. And talking about the stats, we understand it's close on 12,000 people have been logged in to see it, which is phenomenal, really, for a brass band broadcast for that, for people logging on. Over 20 odd countries, 200, I think it was 270 odd towns and cities through the UK. Yeah. So it shows what brass bands are about. And funny enough, it takes us to one of the last little emails that we've had from somebody, Carl Ball, who writes back and said, would love to hear how many more contests can be live streamed like this. In what incentives are there for organisers to do so? Balancing up with the fact that it actually costs money to start.
It costs a lot of money to do it to this standard with all this equipment that's here. And there's a fairly sizable studio here with 3 or 4 cameras and other sound equipment and the internet feed and 4 or 5 guys behind the scenes. These things don't happen free of charge. Somebody's got to pay for it somewhere. Fortunately, here we've got Bolsover Council that's picking up the tab for that, and they see the benefit in doing that. They've prioritised this event for that reason. They've decided they're going to project their district to the world.
It was good that we had the councillor who came in and offered his support, and he didn't have to come in, but you can see whatever. The chief executive came in.
They're right behind it. This is assembly. They don't need to be at work today.
No.
But they've put a real effort into this. But as I said, we've done these things in the past through the Bandsman, when the Bandsman was connected with World of Brass and Salvation Army. And there's a huge risk when you do it. And if you do it as a commercial venture, there's always a chance that you could lose a catastrophic amount of money if you don't get people to buy into it. So without the backers, somebody that's got fairly deep pockets, it's going to be difficult for contests just as a matter of course to put them on. And you've got to remember, they don't want to affect their own audience either. They still want people to come to the event. No audience equals no event.
The reality is that it's not always going to be feasible for exactly the reasons that you say, Kenny. It's it can't be done with all contests. But I think the important thing here now is that in Bolsover, this festival has grown year on year. When you were talking about the figures for the streaming of 12,000, the figures last year were 3,500. That's nearly a 400% increase.
So work that out,
something at this time of night as well, and with my maths as well. But so there's something going on there. There's something happening, and I think there's a model here. If other councils around the country will look at the model for what's been done here, and actually use that as an example just to show what can be achieved, then there is a model that can be replicated in other places. But it has to be. I think doing it as a commercial venture, that's always going to be a very difficult thing to do, I think.
Well, we just got the last minute of our broadcast here from the studio. So my thanks go to Kenny Crookston, the editor of British Bandsman, goes to Chris Thomas for Brass Band World magazine. Annie Crookston, of course, has come down. Kenny's going to do the driving home. I
Yes.
understand. So you can have a well-earned rest for that. Thank you very much for your contribution for adjudicating today. Also, our thanks go to Micro Video, who have been doing all the production, Bolsover District Council, First Art Organisation, all the helpers and all the people, the volunteers who've been helping. They've been magnificent. And finally, to the audience and to the bands people, all have put 100% into making this a success. So our thanks to that. After the announcement of the results, when we're going back to Simone Rebello, you won't be hearing anything from us. We'll be on our way back home. So without further ado, I'm handing back over to Simone Rebello back in the hall, where we'll have the announcement of the results of the championship section of the 2016 Bolsover Festival of Brass.
A very good evening.